We refer to Jesus as the Prince of Peace. We sing songs with titles like Let There Be Peace on Earth. At Christmas, we send out cards proclaiming peace. And yet, in today's gospel, we hear Jesus say, I came to bring fire to the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. Jesus then goes on to declare that the most important household relationships in the ancient world will be ruptured. That mothers and their unmarried daughters, fathers and sons, and mothers-in-laws and daughters-in-laws will be divided against one another. These were the relationships that maintained the household, the most important relationships in the life of a person. Marriage was a contract, but these relationships maintained the family line. These were school, apprenticeship, job, and retirement plan, all wrapped up in one. To hear Jesus say that he is coming to divide these relationships is therefore beyond jarring, and is something that even theologians struggle with, using all kinds of logical gymnastics to explain it away. Maybe Jesus meant this saying for those who were not his followers. Maybe Jesus was speaking with hyperbole because he was getting frustrated. Maybe Jesus never said this at all, and it was just something that a later disciple put on the lips of Jesus after being thrown out of homes and synagogues. But I think we need to take Luke and Jesus at face value on this one. Jesus preached a message of radical of love that is given with abandon, of love that is easy to have for a newborn, but is not so easy to have for a violent criminal, but which is required for all. This radical love requires us to recognize that God is present in all people, no matter how corrupted someone may be by sin and hate. We have to choose to see all people as the image of God and recognize that no one is an animal. No one, no matter how horrific the acts that they may have perpetrated against us and those we love. And more than that, radical love means removing privilege from our closest relationships. It means loving our own children, parents, and in-laws with the same love that we have for others' children, parents, and in-laws, rather than with a greater love. None of this is easy. Such radical love can break apart those relationships that are most important to us, and it is a rejection of the values of this world. But it can also lead to the forging of new relationships and the creation of new family. This radical love can be seen expressed at the foot of the cross in the Gospel of John, when Jesus entrusts his beloved disciple and his mother to love and care for one another. Mary had other sons, and the beloved disciple had a biological family. But the radical call of Jesus had divided their households, and so they were called upon by Jesus to see and treat one another as family. It is also the radical love that we see in the life of St. Bridget of Kildare. St. Bridget was the daughter of an enslaved Christian woman and a pagan tribal chief in Ireland during the Middle Ages. Despite the enslaved status of her mother, Bridget was recognized by her father as a member of his household and his daughter. As such, he announced his intention to marry her off to a lesser son of another chief. She expressed that she wanted to devote herself and her life to God as a nun. While he attempted to arrange the marriage, Bridget thwarted his efforts through radical love that entailed her giving away whatever she owned, and even things that she didn't, her father's treasures. This behavior ultimately drove off any suitors, and in the end, her father relented and let her go off and found a monastery, rather than dealing with her continuing to give away all that he owned. In that monastery, Bridget lived out the calling of Jesus to radical love, living as an older sister to the women and men who joined her order, and welcoming the poor and disabled who had been turned away by their own biological families. Through her monastery, Bridget brought many people from throughout Ireland to Jesus and to a new understanding of the limits of the concept of family. And she taught others by her example how to love those that society had deemed unlovable, and even those that hated her. In the end, this kind of love leads to a greater peace. But before that new peace can come, there is first breaking down of tradition, of tribalism, and of distrust that entails a time of great discord, a time of chaos and change, a time of baptism by fire. So the Prince of Peace is also the one who brings division. Amen.